Now, what did we do that got us into the pickle we're about to see? Well, after 190 years of the Bible being used as a textbook in our schools, we threw God out of our schools. In 1960, you may remember, Madalyn Murray O'Hair filed a lawsuit up in Maryland claiming it was unconstitutional for her son William to be required to participate in Bible readings in public school. In 1963, the U.S. Supreme Court voted 8-1 to ban so-called coercive public prayer and Bible reading in public schools. We threw God out. You wonder, where's God in all these shootings in the schools? We kicked him out of school, if you recall. Just 10 years later of having thrown God out of our schools, the U.S. Supreme Court legalized the shedding of innocent blood in the United States in the Roe v. Wade decision. Now, what is the legacy of that decision? If you look at all of the war deaths in the United States throughout the entire history of the country, the Revolutionary War, we had 4,435 war deaths. And this includes in battle, prison camps, and related war deaths. The next largest one was the Civil War, depending on what source you look at, 364 to 500,000 people. World War II, 400,000. Vietnam, 58,000. Total, 1,010,000. Maybe a couple of 100,000 more, depending on what statistics you look at. But approximately 1 million Americans have died through all the wars and all the history of the country. In contrast, since 1973, we have lost 52 million babies to abortion. Actually, the new Guttmacher statistics came out, it's 53 million. That's 51 times the total number of war deaths throughout the entire history of the country. It's equivalent to 900 Vietnam Wars. Now, some of us grew up in that generation. Some of you fought in the Vietnam War. You all remember the protests over the loss of 58,000 Americans in the Vietnam War. Can you picture the Vietnam War taking place 900 times over? Where are the protesters? Where are the protesters? It's not where have all the flowers gone. It's where have all the protesters gone. 900 times the Vietnam War. I tried to graph this because I like graphs and I relate to them. But I had a hard time getting the war deaths to show up on the graph because the abortion deaths were so enormous in comparison. Now, I have the utmost respect for our war veterans. My father was a Marine Corps sergeant. He fought on the island of Iwo Jima in World War II and several other islands. He survived it. Most of his friends did not. That generation is dying at the rate of 1,000 a day. I have nothing but respect for our war veterans. But look at the unbelievable multiple of abortion deaths compared to war deaths. Every single minute, 3 babies are aborted in America alone. In the 45 minutes that we are gathered here this morning, another 123 babies will be lost to abortion while we're sitting here. Every day we delay in putting an end to this, 4,000 more babies are lost to abortion. Now, I'm going to get a little statistical here. If half the babies were male and half the babies were female, that would be 26 million couples that could have been formed. By 1990, 25 million of those would have been at childbearing age and would have had, if even one baby per couple, another 12,700,000 babies that would have been born. If you don't believe me, here's the statistics. It shows the babies born in each year, or the babies aborted in each year, 25 million by 1990 would have produced, at one baby a couple, 12 million babies. So if we take the 52 million that were aborted, actually 53 million today, add the 12 million babies that would have been born to those couples, and we've lost nearly 65 million people from our population. That's bigger than most countries. Now, our population is only 300 million. That's 21% of our entire population, or 1 out of every 5 people has been lost to this economy. There's 5 people. Looks like we've got a father and mother, a son, maybe a wife and a grandson. 1 out of every 5 people has been lost to abortion. That's equivalent to the entire population of California, Texas, and Mississippi put together. Or alternatively, since those are the largest states, it's equivalent to the entire population of 29 of our smaller states, or 57% of the states in this country. And here they are: Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, Connecticut, Delaware, D.C., Hawaii, Idaho, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Mississippi, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Mexico, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Oregon, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Utah, Vermont, West Virginia, Wyoming. The entire population of every state equivalents. Here they are. If you don't believe me, here are the populations. The ones in red, or alternatively the ones in blue, are the entire population equivalent wiped out. Now let me ask you something. Well, here it is in a map. That's how many people would be wiped out, have been wiped out. Let me ask you something. If terrorists had succeeded in getting in an airplane and had flown over all these states, dumping anthrax in the air, and had wiped out the entire population of 29 of our states and killed 65 million people, would you be upset about it? Would that concern you a little bit? And by the way, if only the males over age 20 went into the workforce, that means we've lost nearly 13 million workers from our economy. The mother's womb has become the most dangerous place in the world. It's supposed to be the safest place in the world. We have innocent blood on our hands, beloved, and the Lord will require it. In 2 Samuel 4:11, God said, "How much more, when wicked men have slain a righteous person in his own house upon his bed, shall I not therefore now require his blood of your hand and take you away from the earth?" Will God take this country away from the earth?